TYT Sports, everybody. Turks and Jerks. Time for our Jerk of the Week. Ben Mankiewicz, Jason Rubin. Jason, who's your jerk?
How dare they hurt Odell Beckham Jr. after a monstrous season he's having? It's just, as a New York Giants fan, obviously, I don't want to see cheap shots against now my favorite Giant. I'm going to jump on the ODB bandwagon. But it's not just the Rams defense. It's the Rams defensive coordinator, Gregg Williams, and Alec Ogletree. I believe we have a tweet also from Odell Beckham Jr. regarding this. So Beckham on Ogletree play, he took me out of bounds, and then I'm all the way outside on the white where he tried to pick me up and dunk me. And that's a perfect way to put it, because I guess Ogletree thought this was basketball, and you can pick up, what is Odell Beckham Jr., a 6'2" guy, he's not this Brandon Marshall-sized guy, and get dunked like Blake Griffin trying to throw down a basketball. So the Rams defense for cheap shots, it's totally unacceptable, especially in the league nowadays where you're going to get penalized for technically targeting that might not necessarily be targeting, and the refs get the calls wrong. Don't add fuel to the fire. It's only going to make the NFL worse overall when these cheap shots start occurring and cause more flags to be thrown going into next season. Get your guys under control. Discipline your team. The St. Louis Rams have quality wins, and when they are, I don't want to say under control, but it seems like a more disciplined play calling and better run practices, whatever it might be from Gregg Williams. But the St. Louis Rams have beaten, I know, the 49ers, which isn't necessarily a good win, but they also beat the Broncos. And then they get torched by I shouldn't say torched, but they get torched by the New York Giants, who are going to finish the season probably 7-9. And I get so fucking frustrated when I see more excuses, more reasons for the NFL in general to give more flags, to just hurt the game more going forward.
You know, what's interesting is the Giants, a couple of things interesting there. One, the Giants may end the year 7-9, but as we've talked about lately for about a month now, they're not really a 7-9 team. They're better than that.
Same thing last year.
I mean, yeah, I got it, but it's more dramatic this year. They lost a 100% flukish game to the Jaguars, where 2 fumbles were returned for touchdowns that will never be replicated. They both,
Who'd you bet on in that game?
Both plays, I bet on the Giants, but both those plays seem dead and over. And then they lose a game where they lose a game by 3 points, I guess, where Eli Manning threw 6 interceptions. So I got it. That's on Manning, but that's flukish. Those turnovers are flukish. They're probably a 9-7 team. They have the personnel of a 9-7 team, and obviously, if they'd had Beckham all year, things would be a little different.
And a healthy Victor Cruz. But
all right, so that's your jerk of the week, yes. An uninspired choice. It's not quite a three-way tie. I haven't quite decided who I'm going to do here, but I like these picks. One, I lean toward. There's Mike Smith, because these Falcons run the risk of actually pulling this out and thereby, and there's going to be then some clamor. They win the division. Imagine if they win the division, then win a home playoff game against the Cardinals, which is entirely possible given, I think the Cardinals will win that game, but given the Cardinals' situation, if the Falcons put up some points, the Cardinals can't keep up, and they'll win that game. And you're telling me he's going to win the division even at 7-9 and win a playoff game, and they're going to fire him? I don't think so. So Mike Smith, he's a candidate for Jerk of the Week for saving his job in a terrible, terrible division. By the way, the Falcons could end the year, if they win next week, 7-9, 6-0 against the NFC West, impressive. And 1-9 against the rest of the league.
That's impressive.
It's an amazing statistic.
Any chance Kurt Warner comes in like Michael Jordan's Space Jam to save the Arizona? I don't want to say save the Arizona Cardinals. They're actually a good team, a very good team defensively, especially.
He'd be tragically killed the first play.
Tragically killed?
Yeah.
Well, Michael Jordan said
So the other candidate for Jerk of the Week is the guy who's getting praised this week but should get none. That's Mike McCoy, the head coach of the San Diego Chargers, who I'd fired today. So Mike McCoy, at the end of the first half, a game he is trailing 21-7. And the 49ers, down inside the 10-yard line, refuses to use his timeouts. You're going to be down either 28-7 or 24-7, and you need possessions to win the game, and you just chose not to have one for a minute at the end of the first half. A minute they could have had. And he didn't want to do it. And then they scored, and then the half ended 28-7. And yes, because the 49ers got incredibly conservative, you somehow came back and won that game.
Somebody tells these coaches, right, like, you have 3 timeouts or you have 2 timeouts. Like, what is the
You want to get into the what do you care whether you lose 45-7 or 28-24?
Maybe I should the bathroom.
It doesn't matter. Call the possessions matter. You get 8, 9, 10 a game. Save one. Get a field goal. It'll matter. If you'd kicked that field goal then, maybe you wouldn't have to go into overtime, wouldn't have required a freak 49er fumble to win the game.
Unless
you got lucky, Mike McCoy, lucky, and now people aren't focusing on the fact that you were clueless about how to handle the clock, and it will come and cost you in the playoffs if you somehow make it and beat out the Ravens for that last playoff spot. And the other guy who doesn't know what he's doing, the other candidate for Jerk of the Week, is Andy Reid, who also has been proven to be fairly clueless about when to go for it, when to call timeout, all the things that aren't football plays, because he's clearly a great football coach, Andy Reid. But at the end of the first half there against the Steelers led the game 10-6, and Chiefs faced a 4th down and less than a yard, and I think the 12-yard line with 27 seconds to go, and with 1 timeout left. And they went for it. I love going for it. As you know, we're always talking about going for it. But you don't go for it then because you only have 27 seconds. You don't have time for your going for it to pay off. And you've literally never thrown a pass to a wide receiver all season. So you're asking for a play to be made from the 12. In this case, when it's 4th down and the risk is not getting any points and the upside is maybe I get to run 1 more play, maybe I get to run 2 more plays, that's not enough of an upside to risk the easy 3. He went for it. They didn't get it. They're down in the half 10-6 instead of 10-9. It's maddening. I have a huge Steeler bet this year. I loved him going for it. It was a incredibly indefensible decision of Andy Reid to go for it. And because his was so unique, I'm going to give Andy Reid my Jerk of the Week over Mike McCoy and Mike Smith. All Mike Smith did was win. But Mike McCoy doesn't know what he's doing. But Andy Reid will take Jerk of the Week for that very puzzling decision, the one time when you should kick and not go for it.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel. How do you do that, Jason?
It's free, and there's a little link right there. Perfect, right there, that you can click on. It will take you to the subscribe page.